Village. I am a student of University of Limpopo. I came here, I think, 2015. I always get excited when my lecturer is in the room, very supportive. I really appreciate it for that, Dr. Pasha. But I came here 2015. I studied molecular and life sciences all the way to honors in biochemistry, and I hold now currently a master's in genetics from Stellenbosch University. And yeah, I own an agri-science company that's also based in Zanin, but we operate all over South Africa. So research commercialization is very, 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 very dear to my heart. And I think if it was a Christianity or a religion or gospel, it's something that I like to preach and share every time, because there's so many young people that are not employed, that are sitting at home with so much knowledge that we are able to commercialize. And how do we commercialize that if we're not even aware that the knowledge that we have, we are able to commercialize? So we're just going to be talking about research commercialization, but not too much into IP. I know when people are thinking research commercialization, they're thinking IP, my intellectual property, how do I register a patent and all of that. But I just want us to look at two important tools, right? That is business canvas model and design thinking. Because before you even get to patenting, what do we do before we get the innovation, before we get to the laboratory? So that's the conversation we are going to be having today. Some colleagues of ours from the Technology Transfer Office are not yet here. Perhaps they're going to join us later, but those are the ones that would now say, once Mapula is done talking with us about really the foundation of research commercialization, that I want us to start with a business canvas model and design thinking. Then they can say, now that you've finished your research and now that you've gotten the basics right, this is how you then start protecting the intellectual property that you have come up with. So that's in a nutshell Mapula Seilane and why she's interested in research commercialization. And we're just going to get a little bit into mLab. I know people would probably be asking themselves, how did you move from science to now joining a tech company? mLab is a tech company that was established in 2011, and the real reason for that, when it was established, apps were just starting. We were getting your WhatsApps, your mix. Now we've got, it's very common that, you know, when I go to Capitec, I've got a Capitec app that I'm able to access. But there was a time where applications, mobile applications, were not so popular. So mLab was created to expand the mobile application economy in South Africa. And our primary goal is to ensure that we are empowering the youth. We are focusing on previously disadvantaged communities. And colleagues, if you are not aware, the Limpopo province is sort of called or labeled the rural province, and that's because over 80% of the residents in the Limpopo province are in the rural areas. So if we want to really start looking at empowering youth or empowering communities in Limpopo province, how it would look like, it would be us going into those areas that are previously disadvantaged, and we start we start activating interest in technology, and that's where we start having an emergence of tech entrepreneurs that are tapping into the technology, and we start having technology development services in those areas. So I've already mentioned the main reason why mLab. mLab is to amplify mobile applications in South Africa, and it has currently grown into a technology hub where we are driving digital transformation and economic empowerment. And I think when we talk about economic empowerment, how it would look like in Limpopo province, it would be that we need to start looking at how do we then create lively economies in the rural areas. And I, with a few colleagues that I work with, we like to term it rural economic hubs. How do we plug in rural economic hubs? And if you look at Limpopo province, we're good in agriculture, we're good in tourism, we're good in mining, and we've got 5 districts here. So that would look like us going into a Mopani district, for example, and we say we've got the Kruger National Park that would tick the tourism box. We've got majority tropical fruits there that would tick the agricultural point, and we've got your Palabra mines that would tick the mining. So how do we go to those different areas and now start activating rural economies that are anchored in those particular strands? So if we go to a village that has good weather conditions, that has good soil, then would plug a rural economy in agriculture. That would mean that we would want laboratories that are testing the soil in that village. We would want the planting and implements that are associated with agriculture to be happening in there. So your NTKs, for example, would have to be plugged in that particular village. We would then plant in that village. We would agro-process in that village. We will package in that village. And Gauteng would then come to that village and buy instead of us taking things to Gauteng. So that's how we look at plugging and activating rural economy. So if it's mining, then we then start looking at that community and say, how do we then start empowering these young people to be role players in the mining industry? And we plug them on that. It could be sending drones for security into the mines. It could be them understanding your geology and knowing this type of minerals, etc., and activating that knowledge so that they're able to actively not just be beggars. Because the sad thing that happens in our areas, especially when we bring development, is that the young people in that area, and I say this because I grew up in a village, I know that opportunities would come, and when they are coming there, we don't have the right skills. So a lot of us don't have the right skills. So those ones, but yes or no. I don't know if you guys know the system where a contractor comes and there's jobs, but unfortunately, the only job that we qualify for is not the CV one where you submit a CV and you are called for an interview, but rather you go and pick a yes or a no, unfortunately, if you are not lucky, and you just get the scrambles. But people from outside then come and take the bigger pie. So we want to then see how do we best empower young people and women in those particular areas so that when these big projects come for agriculture, then this one can raise a hand and say, I'm a scientist, I've got a master's from University of Limpopo, and I am able to take care of the soil science of your agriculture. And then somebody says, I have a fertilizer company, I make my own biofertilizers, I want to take this part. And somebody says, I know how to make irrigation system or sensors for irrigation, those kind of things. So we want to make sure that young people are equipped better. But the most important now is plugging in technology into those things. So it's not just irrigation system anymore. It's the tracking system and the sensors that go with irrigation system. It's not just soil science, but it's the probes that also you can just plug down and they're able to tell you what nutrients are in the soil and what's not. It's the drones flying around and telling you in row 515, plant 3, there is this plant that is infected with this particular virus. I know I'm speaking to scientists, so you guys will be able to understand what I'm saying. And really, it's just to bridge the gap between digital skills and industry needs. Industry requires certain skills, digital skills that our people don't have. How do we then upskill them to ensure that we foster innovation and entrepreneurship? So that, in a nutshell, is mLab. We do training and capacity building for young people. We do startup incubation. So there's codings, there's how to make websites, how to make mobile applications. I'm more than happy to share all these programs with you when we're done, but I'm not here to talk about the services per se, but I'm just giving colleagues an idea of who we are. And then there's SMME support. You've got a business, you want to know how to start a business, how to get clientele, how to approach sponsors, how to even pitch your business to people. We're able to assist you with that. And then the most important one is our innovation partners. We work with partners within the public and private sector to ensure that we're able to develop digital solutions. So that is Mapulel Seilani, that is mLab. I didn't mention I am the provincial lead of mobile application laboratories in Limpopo province. So if you want anything from mLab, I'm the I'm the slave that you approach, and we see how best to assist each other. So I'm gonna start with this lovely lady here. She was the first to arrive, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, not? Yes. Yes. She was the first to arrive. So she's just going to introduce herself, tell us who she is, what she's studying. Do you have a business? Do you not have a business? What are your expectations for today? I think just that.
All right, my name is Lady Faith Mahopa, a PhD student at the Department of Agriculture. I'm focusing on breeding and genetics, so I don't have a business yet. I'm hoping to learn or get information on how you can turn your research into a business.
Thank you. I like the yet. I don't have a business yet. I like that.
Okay, morning everyone. My name is Budivi and then I'm a master's candidate in microbiology. Basically my study is focused on testing the organic fertilizer that she developed. I'm putting you on the spot. Yeah, so basically testing that fertilizer, its impact on the microbial diversity in the maize farmlands of the Tzaneen region. I'm just here to gain knowledge and what are the necessary things that you need to, for business startup, especially for scientific applications.
Lovely.
Oh, yes, I'm next. Okay. I am Gatego Pasha and I'm a microbiologist. I'm a lecturer, a supervisor, all the likes. And my research focus is in so obviously I'm a microbiologist, so I like microorganisms and I like putting them to work. So my focus is more, I like agriculture as well, so I had to look at, okay, what is of interest to me? Growing food, ensuring that our people have food, so I have the same interest that she has in terms of looking after our people at the end of the day, looking after small scale farmers, and so the focus being that the production of biofertilizers, because if you look at small scale farmers, most of the time they do not even have the funds to look at chemical fertilizers. Not even to mention the fact that they are not good for our environment. So, but basically, in short, I work on the production of plant growth promoters. So we look at plant health. So we look at plant growth promoters, the protection of plants and things like that. So we look at the development of biofertilizers, which is why we are here, because we want to know, once our biofertilizer is now developed, how do we then get it out there?
Lovely. Yeah.
Morning everyone. I'm Waitun Zinyane. I've just started an internship here at University of Limpopo. My current project is biofertilizers, and I'm hoping for today is to learn more about research and how to bridge it with business. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi everyone, I'm Chao, and I'm a master's student in the same field with this professors.
You came in there, they didn't say they were family.
So yeah, we are in the same family and we are trying to achieve the very same thing, like being proper biofertilizers. So I'm glad that we are all here since we are trying to get money from whatever we are doing. So yeah.
You're trying to get what from what you're doing? Money.
So no, it's good that we came here as a family.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how we do it. Well, I'm Chava, I mentioned that.
Yeah, no, thank you, Chavo. So Chavo is the guy that loves money if you want to. But the association would better associate with Chavo so that we can hopefully get the money that he will be getting. Yes.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Kwena Mugwena. I am from the Department of Agriculture here at the University of Limpopo. I'm the founder of Limpopo Farming Enterprise. We deal with small stock, livestock, as well as poultry. So what I'm hoping to gain from today's workshop is how best can I improve this enterprise, and then how to also get funding to just broaden up the enterprise.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi everyone. Okay, my name is Rositani Lebuchudi. I'm a PhD candidate. I'm specifically focusing on animal genomics. But the reason why I'm here is because I run a non-profit organization that has formally adopted the SDG 4, which is quality education. So I go around absorbing all the information so that I can be able to help everyone who's benefiting from the organization. And another thing is that I'm aiming at starting a company on agribusiness. So I'm just trying to find all the information that's going to be necessary towards what I'm trying to do.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Simi Shomake. I am a master's candidate in both biochemistry and microbiology. So I'm working with plants, enterprise, and I'm also working with COVID-19.
COVID-19.
My study is basically trying to isolate secondary metabolites from my plant to cure the cytokine storm caused by COVID-19. So I'm here to learn about commercializing research.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tembo Manuel, a master student in biochemistry. My focus is on influenza virus, the H1N1. So I am dealing with a synthetic compound to mitigate the oxidative stress induced by the virus. So I am more interested in science and technology. I am a self-taught programmer, so I am here to learn more.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Lamkiti. I am a master's student in biochemistry. My research focuses on targeting oxidative stress in lung cancer cells that are intensified by elevated pro-inflammatory cytokines released by intensified macrophages by SARS-CoV-2 virus. I don't have a business yet, but I'm here to gain experience, practical experience in design thinking and business modeling.
Thank you, guys. Yes, I don't say no. Everyone's introducing themselves.
Good morning.
I gotta reduce it as well. People are talking. Didn't you hear the signs there? I don't know, for a minute when you two were introducing yourselves, but Dr. Pashabang Kupudite, those seminars where we had to present. We had to present our work. I did my honors in biochemistry. And I think it was every Wednesday we had to present a research paper, and you just get there. So it is really nice to hear colleagues from the biochemistry department. Send my regards. Those professors, they really shaped and contributed to who I am. Before we get to research commercialization, I just want to pick your brain a little bit and to maybe pick your interest. Limpopo Development Plan. Remember, when we talk about commercialization, Tabo was saying, I want money and I'm here with my family because my family wants money, right? But for you to get money from someone, there must be something of interest that I'm getting or I'm benefiting from. I just can't give you your money. There must be a reason for that exchange. I give you my money because I'm getting something in return, right? So that's pretty much when we, on the most basic commercialization is, I've got a problem, you've got a solution to my problem, and I'm able to pay for that. But before we get into that, I want us to look at this and say, Limpopo Development Plan. What comes to your mind when you think Limpopo Development Plan? Have you ever read this book, this document? Has anyone ever thought to read what are the development plans for Limpopo province?
Remember here, it will tell you, this is Limpopo province, this is our strategy, these are the number of people in Limpopo province, this is where they live, these are the resources that we have, these are the gaps that are there, these are the number of people that are employed, these are the number of people that are not employed. If you're looking for a business in mining, these are the areas you need to go. If you want to think of agriculture, these are the places you need to go. These are the gaps that are there in agriculture. Have we looked at this? No. Okay. Let's just say for now, we've never looked at the development plan in Limpopo province. Do we know the local municipalities? What are the priorities in our local municipalities? I'm from Greater Zanin municipality. There's an integrated development plan that's there. Does anyone know integrated development plans in their local municipalities? This is going to outline the problems that are there, the gaps that are there, the businesses that are there, those that are not there, where the money is, where they're willing to spend money, where they're not willing to spend money, their priorities. Have we looked at that? No. So on the local level, not municipal level, there's municipal district models that look at how best to develop the district. Have we looked at that? No. National development plan in terms of South Africa, this is the direction that South Africa wants to go. These are the opportunities that are going to be there in the next years. These are the problems that need to be solved. Have we looked at that? Yes. Okay, so there's at least hope. There's one person that says, I've looked at the national development plans, right? There was somebody when somebody was introducing themselves and they said, I looked at the SDGs. I'm focusing on SDG 4, right? There's on quality education, you mentioned something like that. So ideally would start with the SDGs, would move into scoping down to Africa, would now look at the agenda for the African Union to say this is where they want to see themselves. I think their target now is 2063, that's their plan, and then we'll jump into the National Development Plan, and then we'd go into the Limpopo or the Gauteng Development Plan, then you go to the district, then you go to the locals. But all these documents, they are readily available online. They give you a clear picture of how does South Africa look like, the landscape of South Africa. What problems do we have? What are the wins? What are the not so wins? Where can I plug myself, right? Because the main idea, the reason I'm putting this here is because as a scientist myself, I know we go to the lab and we fantasize on what is a problem, right? And we are very adamant to say, this is a problem and I'm going to solve it. So for 2 years, if I'm doing my master's, or for 3 years, if I'm doing a PhD, I'm in the laboratory and I'm working day and night to get a solution to a problem that I've convinced myself is a problem, right? And I've convinced myself is of priority. And after 3 years, now I'm done with that particular problem. I've solved it. I've got the solution. Then I want to go out and I meet a person like Thabo who is very, very passionate about his money. And I say, Thabo, look, I spent 3 years. I was doing research. I've got this solution. Buy my solution. What do you think will happen if that solution is not priority to Thabo? It's not getting funding. Or Thabo is not buying it. So that's a problem that we have as researchers, or the primary problem that we have is that we go into the laboratories, we sit down, we write proposals, they look good because we send it to colleagues who are thinking like us, right? Send it to colleagues who are thinking like us. They look at it and they say, COVID-19, it's a problem. I'm not saying it's not. It's a problem and it's of priority because 2020, this is what happened. But in 2025, is that priority now? Or is there other priorities that people would rather spend? Because if I've got 5 friends and this is the only resource I've got, and Mutibi comes to me and she says, I've got to buy a fertilizer and I need you to buy it, and I'm a small scale farmer. Is it something I'm going to be interested to buy, or I'm just going to go to an NTK and buy something cheaper because I've only got 5 friends? So you would have spent 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years, or 5 if we're not so lucky, coming up with a solution that you are very confident is a problem. And it is. It's a problem, but is it of primary concern to your end user. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, to say we are going to start thinking of research not from our perspective as scientists, but from the end user's perspective, because if your ideal goal is to commercialize, it's not about how excited you are telling us about your biofertilizers. It's not about how excited you are telling us the solutions you are coming for smallholder farmers. And I can confidently say that after running a science company for 5 years, it really doesn't matter how important what you think you're doing is. If the people don't see it as a primary thing or priority for them to spend money, they will not spend money. And trust me, these smallholders that we say we want to upskill, they've got money, because on a weekend they go to the pub and they can spend 1,000 rands, and you're only selling fertilizer for maybe 300 rand. So it's not about do they have money or not, it's about what is of priority to them. So when we are going into the laboratory, we now must start asking ourselves, do I start in the laboratory, finish and go and try to convince people to buy my product, or I go to my people and understand what are their problems, what are their needs, prioritize on that, come back, look at the concept and say, how do I solve people's problems? So there I just put the priority sectors in Limpopo province currently. So they're saying it's sunrise because these are the new sectors that are coming into play. Obviously, we know the mining sector is common. We know the agriculture sector is common. We know tourism is common, but these are the new ones that are coming into play in the Limpopo development plan. They're looking at automotive, they're looking at cannabis, they're looking at renewable energy. I know there are colleagues within the university that are working on green hydrogen and the likes. They're looking at the digital economy, wild economy, creative economy is also joining. And those that are in agriculture must now start asking themselves, how best do I plug in myself into the cannabis, in the cannabis sector, because it's apparently the green gold now. So this is what I was trying to just bring your attention to say, can we not be ignorant to understanding the landscape of the places where we want to bring solutions? If we are saying, I think University of Limpopo's tagline is finding solutions for Africa, but for you to find solutions for Africa, you need to understand Africa. If you are coming to me, I like to just make a basic example. And I say I'm in a relationship with Wutibi, and Wutibi wants to make me happy as a partner, right? Wutibi cannot come with her expectation of how to love, with her love language, and want to impose it on me. Because no matter how hard she tries to love me how she thinks is best to love, if she's not loving me how I want to receive love, I'm not going to appreciate it. It's going to be a very draining relationship. So that also goes to solving people's problems. If Wutibi wants to come and says, I want to be the best lover, I want to be the best problem solver for Mabula, you must understand my problems, and you must also even start finding a way to say, okay, these are the problems that she has. How would she like to solve it? That's the language that I want us to start thinking of. So it's the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. These are global. We bring it into Africa. It's the Agenda 2063, guys. You must read these documents and understand the landscape. There's the National Development Plan. Then you go into the Limpopo Development Plan. That's where we are in Limpopo province. And then there's the district development plans. And then in our local municipalities, we now have your integrated development plans. I know these are documents that we hardly even think are important for us to read. But if you take this document, for example, Limpopo Development Plan, and you read it, it's going to tell you, this is agricultural sector. These are the number of companies that are there. These are their problems. So automatically, when you are acquainted to that, and you understand that document, as a Wutibi, I'm going to use her a lot because because her name is very, very, fresh to my mind. As a Wutibi, I want to do biofertilizers, and this is the agricultural landscape in Limpopo province. We've got farmers, this number of farmers. This is the resources they have. These are the resources that they don't have. If I'm bringing a biofertilizer, am I bringing it in granules or am I bringing it in liquid form? Because the moment you start bringing it in liquid form, it means these people must have irrigation systems that are going to be able to put it in the tanks, and then it irrigates while it fertilizes, right? But if you bring it as granules, then it means that your farmers don't have mostly irrigations and they are relying on jugs and stuff. So you're not going to bring a liquid fertilizer to a farmer that doesn't even have enough water. So you need to understand. You need to understand the landscape in which you are bringing solutions to. Okay, so what comes to your mind? I think I've said a lot. Let me go back there. I've said a lot about understanding the landscape. What then comes to your mind when we say research commercialization from everything that I was saying? I like my sessions to be as interactive as possible, so I'm not going to be talking alone. What comes to your mind? Somebody could say, I am Tabo and I wanted to make money, but now I'm thinking maybe I need to go do a little bit of homework and understand the agricultural sector and how best to approach my solution. And somebody could say, I want to go back to the drawing board because I feel like my research needs this and that and that. So let's just get comments from the room. How do you feel so far in terms of research commercialization? What did you have in mind with where you are right now? Yes.
I think it's more towards applications instead of just having papers that are published. It's more like, okay, you have this knowledge, let's use it this way. Instead of having papers just accumulate.
So she's saying we're publishing a lot of theses, dissertations, we're writing them, they're there. How do we then apply this knowledge that we have and create businesses and products that communities can benefit from? Someone else?
I think what I've gotten so far is that before you design a project, you should perhaps check what is out there and what is needed, so that once you are done, you'll be able to sell that idea or those findings to somebody else.
So she's saying you need to find out. So it's a business actually. We're now running a business. We are approaching research as a business idea to say, I've got this business idea, is it going to work, and which pathways do I follow to ensure that at the end of the day I'm able to sell this particular research that I've done. Anyone else?
I would say that, okay, in terms of going back to the consumer, working from the consumer back, in that aspect, I already had an understanding of that because I've interacted with you, so I've come to understand that. The one thing that stood out for me today is you made an example about saying, you were speaking about understanding the landscape, which is very, very important because you said you want to now bring in, now I've spoken to my farmers, I know they need a biofertilizer, but I'm busy in the lab and I'm looking at liquid fertilizer, but I do not understand the landscape, I do not understand the challenges based on the water that they have and in the irrigation system. I'm only looking at the fact that now they need fertilizer because they need to fertilize their crops and all of those things, but there are other aspects of it that I need to look at. So the importance of reading those documents and understanding the landscape of where your target market will be at the end of the day.
Perfect. So she's now talking about target market to say, yes, fertilizer is a problem. They want fertilizer. You've got the fertilizer, but are they able to use it in the form that you have created the solution? Do you need a liquid? Do you need granules? How do you need to get it out there? Someone else? I'm going to skip you and go to someone else. I want someone from there.
Okay, I'll take it. Okay, last week I attended this other meeting, and there's something that I raised during that meeting. It was like my concern was on the agricultural side, because obviously I'm on the agricultural side. To say that one thing that I've realized is that we are developing projects that are not beneficial to our end users, being the communal farmers. We normally go to communal farmers to collect data, but then our research doesn't necessarily speak to them, meaning that the relationship is not mutual. So from this presentation, I got to learn that when the idea that I'm currently having makes really sense. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So essentially we're coming up with these big projects that don't look at solving problems to people that we want to solve problems to.
I think majority is about getting the qualification. That's one thing that I've realized, more especially in our department. The one thing that I've realized is that students don't really go do research they don't research about the problems that they are trying to solve. It's just a matter of getting that qualification, getting those papers published. Hence, you see most of us being home after the qualifications that we do not have the plan going forward. It's about getting the qualification and seeking for a job.
I think that's very sad, and it's probably one of the reasons I moved away from. I moved away from certain researchers because what would come to my mind is I'm from Zanin, and Zanin predominantly we are farmers, and we growing up in an agricultural family where we are farming and we are not like the other people, right? I'm not going to mention who. I think when we speak of Zanin, we're able to know who are the other farmers, right? So those ones that are farming commercially, what is different between us and them? That was the question that I wanted to understand. We are farming every season. We've got something planted in the yard because we're very passionate. Black people by nature, we are farmers. But for some reason, we are not able to farm like them and make the money that they are making. Tabo, I'm gonna keep referencing you when I talk about money. We're not making the money. What could be the reason? So I started then doing research, focusing on that. So she's very right to say, we get to university, all we're interested in is getting that master's qualification. We graduate, we celebrate. You get your PhD, you graduate. But what happens after that? Because you can have this research that is very interesting, and the science community, trust me, would go to conferences, would clap hands, would be so excited because you're going to be speaking a lot of sense, and we're so excited. But are you even able to then commercialize that research? If I were to come to you and say, you're a PhD student, you've completed, you are now in a village somewhere in Palabora, you are not employed, and I say, well, I like preaching about research commercialization. Let's look at your research and let's commercialize it. Is it something that can be commercialized?
I think also we need to look at these conversations that should be had with in this setting, right? With the supervisors. The student, I was a student myself. When I was a student, I didn't care about the research I was doing. It wasn't my research. It was a research that the supervisor that I got was working on. So I looked at the group that's in there, what do I like the most, and I picked one, right? So what I did had nothing to do with me. I just wanted to get my degree and leave. So these conversations should be had with the supervisor so that when we choose projects, it would be projects that can be commercialized. Now, if I'm now going to choose such type of projects, then when my students come in, they may not want to do what I do later on in life, but they would have had, their eyes would have been open to say, this is the directions that we take.
That's true. Now I've noted you. I'm going to get back to that because I skipped this. You forgot?
No, I didn't.
I was going to get sad, yes.
Okay, I'm going to talk about agriculture because
basically.
I think when we do the experiments or the research in the lab, when we do them, for example, in greenhouses, the greenhouse doesn't necessarily reflect the actual environmental conditions of the farmer in terms of water, temperatures, nutrients and stuff like that. So it's more like, how do we then make feasible models that, okay, like the results in the greenhouse are good, how do we then transfer them to actually the environment now?
The field.
Yes.
Okay, makes sense. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to add on Dr. Pasha's comment. I fully agree with that this topic should be taken to supervisors because we are given topics and we go with the topics and spend sleepless nights trying to write literature reviews and discussions about our results, but at the end of the day we are unemployed because we don't have this kind of knowledge. And it's also important to take this kind of knowledge to maybe third-year students who also want to go further into research, so that when they go to research, they know what they're going to do and how they're going to be commercializing their research. And also, I think it's also important to take this kind of knowledge to all the departments. Right now, you are mainly focusing on agriculture, and I'm doing biochemistry. I should also know how should I commercialize my research, also in the biochemistry part. In vaccine, how long does it take to develop a vaccine? It takes long. So also in the biochemistry part, microbiology, all the departments, we should have such knowledge on how we can commercialize our research.
Yeah, sure. I like that. I think it's a very important conversation, and probably the main reason why technology transfer offices were plugged into universities. That is to solve just that. I don't know, Mr. Managa, you have to then talk to your boss, Mr. Lebelo, and we see how best to start having these engagements more, and perhaps from the top going down, because what's the point of a student understanding that this is the line in which you need to approach research, but they walk into a department and then researcher says, these are my priorities. And we even have to now step into a bigger, I think, a very uncomfortable place to even say the funders, because sometimes it's not even the supervisor's choice in terms of the research focus, but it's where the money is. So they're going to focus on where the money is, and they say these are the things that we need to be researching. When I get to platforms where I get to sort of have a voice and talk about research, I challenge these people in government and I say, guys, you're putting money where it's not important. We cannot as Limpopo province be focusing on X topics when these are the problems that our people are having, and I bring them back to say this is the Limpopo development plan. This is what is saying in it, and therefore when we are then coming up with topics for masters and PhD researchers, we need to be focusing on these research niches, because this is what is important. Why are we spending money and we are not solving problems that are our own, right? Those other farms that I was telling you about, they would have a problem, and you're laughing. They would have a problem in their farms, again. And when they have those problems, they will formulate a master's project or a PhD project. Do you know where those researches are done? Not at University of Limpopo, not at University of Venda, not at TUT. We go all the way to Stellenbosch to go and do research that solves a problem in Limpopo province. And that for me is something that I'm not understanding. And in my other life, I'm trying to drive that outside mLab. I'm trying to drive to say, we need to start having the province put a fund, and this fund must then start looking at the priorities or the problems that we have in the province, and we start having master's project to say, Zanin has this problem, and there are a number of honor students at the University of Limpopo that are looking at this problem, be it biochemistry, be it economics, be it accounting, be it marketing. But we need to start solving our problems and not just spending money on very useless things. To be honest, it's really very useless things. We've got Department of Agriculture that is there to support smallholder farmers, and they put a lot of money. They give them fertilizers, they give them irrigation systems, but where is the money that's saying we are now doing research? How many students are they funding for a particular problem that we have, and we are dedicating master students? And what you were saying is very true, that we would go to the farmer and exploit them. I'm gonna put it as blunt as it is. We will exploit them. We will get the results that we want. We will graduate, and they will never hear. They will never hear from us. They will never hear from us. And should I go and do a master's project and come to your farm, the least you could come and do is come back and say, look, I came, I looked at your goats, and this is how their genes are looking, and this is what should be done. But unfortunately, those kind of intense researches, your genetics and things, even if you then explain to a farmer and say, this is how it looks like, do they have capacity and resources to then take that knowledge and apply it into their agricultural farms? So that's, yeah, it's a very sad, very sad conversation for our farmers. Ceci was talking and saying she's a biochemist. I love biochemistry, but I ran away from it. And the reason for me I ran away from it, I was doing research on cancer cells, and for the life of me, I just couldn't understand where I'm going to apply it, right? And I think the people that I was around also didn't understand where we would apply it. We sat down as a group of honor students. I remember at the time, and I said, well, I've got an uncle that's working at Tiger Brands. I'm going to see how he's going to connect me to Tiger Brands, because other people were talking about doing PGCE and going into teaching, and I didn't want to do teaching, which is quite funny because I'm not teaching. so yeah, but I'm teaching something that I'm passionate about, and it's not just a reciting of mathematics and physics. But they're doing a very important role, but that's not something that I wanted to do. But what I'm trying to say is that it was cancer studies, very important because we've got a lot of people that are suffering from cancer. But how do I then commercialize? Who are running those big companies that have the final say to whether my research can get commercialized or not? If I don't go to your MRC? What is it? Is it MRC? If I don't get absorbed there, if I don't become a lecturer, if I don't go to these big farmers, can I commercialize the knowledge that I have? Is the landscape in South Africa allowing me to go into a tissue culture lab or whatever and start doing research in my own laboratory? Can I have my own laboratory and start doing my own research? When I was doing my honors, it was a herbal plant that we used to stop cancer cells from moving from one place to the other, metastasizing, right? And it worked. It worked. It was very exciting. I always tell anyone that wants to eat morogo, I'm like, yeah, this is this is the one you must eat. It's going to assist you stop certain characters that cancer or scan move from one place to the other. But can I use that knowledge? Can I develop a drink that people can drink? And am I even allowed to say this drink will stop cancer cells from growing, or this drink will stop cancer cells from moving from one place to the other? Am I allowed? Because some regulations don't even allow me to do that. So why am I doing this research? So we need to even start challenging government policies and systems to say, there's a lot of us that are doing research. COVID, it's very important research that you're doing, but are you able to commercialize it? Even if it's just a kit that you are using to detect COVID, am I able to get the right support and funding to commercialize that kit so that Budibi and the lady here, tell me your name, sorry, I'm not going to use Budibi anymore. Tell me your name. Faith, and it's simple. So Faith here is able to then go and commercialize it. So it's a very difficult conversation, but I think it's one that we can win over time when we start getting people on board and we challenge these systems that are there, challenging those ones on top and saying, guys, this is how you've been doing, but we're now saying, let's challenge the status quo. This is the approach we need to be taking. So it's more like activism, if I could put it. Yes.
I would like to just add one thing. Not on what you were saying, but the TTO. I want to go back to the TTO. The TTO needs to make itself more visible. They are there, but we don't know about them. I know about them because of you, right? My association with you has made me know the TTO. Yeah. Whenever they have something, I go to the TTO through you, because you then make it your business to invite us to go there, right? But with the rest of the staff, that the colleagues that I work with, unless somebody has gotten to a point where their research has a product and then they find the TTO, and then at that point, it's only the later stage. It's not from the very bottom, right? I am not saying they do not send emails and whatever. We have a lot. You know our emails, there's too much happening there. Sometimes their emails I do not open. Sometimes I think it's got nothing to do with me. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't care about TTO, like what is that? You understand? Yeah. I think they need to make themselves more visible. They need to make appointments and go to specific schools, specific departments, and then come and say, this is who we are, this is what we can offer, this is what we advise you go through as you're developing research projects and all of those things. This is how we can help you, and so on and so forth. That way it will work out way better.
That's very important. I really wish the TTO office colleagues were here so that they can get to to hear this. I know currently they're looking at hiring, they call them scouts, IP scouts. But also these scouts would be going into these different departments within the universities and looking at those that have products that are ready to be commercialized.
But start at the bottom. Tell me to start a project that would ultimately lead to a product they are commercialization.
True.
Not just do research for research. But if you're going to come and say, okay, do you have a product? I'll say, I don't have a product. And I will not see myself as one that can actually have a project that can be commercialized. For me, for instance, I went into this space by chance. When I was doing my postgraduate, I was in biofuels. And then at the end of it, I was like, who am I? As a researcher, who am I? What's my identity? That was the identity of my supervisor. But who am I? What do I like? What do I want to do? And I was tired of doing research that then gets dust.
Yeah.
We write dissertations, we write papers, and then I wanted to do something that would be meaningful. And I had to look into what do I like as a person. And then agriculture or biofertilizer and all of that, more of environmental biotechnology was my niche. Then I said, okay, this is the route I'm going to go. And then with interaction, so you look at it, it was still, even at that point, it was just research. I want to research about it. There was no, and then I would actually develop a biofertilizer and take it out. Do you understand?
Yeah. Sure. I'm just going to do a show of hands. How many of you guys have heard of the Technology Transfer Office? Except for Dr. Pash. Except for those, no, you're not allowed to raise your hand. Except for anyone who's in Dr. Pasha's family, because I'm assuming that how has your interaction with the TTO been? On what level?
Myself, I attended one of their workshops. They were talking about patent and all that. Like the doctor was saying, they are just there to say, if you have a research on this, we can come and assist you in getting the patent, getting 1, 2, 3. That's how I got to know.
So they coming in when you've got a product and now you want to protect it.
When you have something that you can protect.
Makes sense. Yes.
Now on my side, it was funny because I was even surprised that their thing had the University logo. I met them in Pretoria and I was like, hi, boy, you guys are the University of Limpopo.
You see?
So,
that's very sad.
Yeah, that's how we met. And I was like, okay, it's my first, are you really from the University of Limpopo? Like, for me, it came as a shock to say, do we really have something like this in our university? So I feel like they are under carpet.
Yeah, under
than
carpet.
how they are supposed to be.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Mr. Levila was supposed to be here. I want to put him on the spot and really make them commit. No, because we cannot be talking about commercialization and we're not equipping people on commercialization, because at the end of the day, the research that we're doing is funded by public funds, right? And based on the IPR Act, it says that the funds, because the research is funded by public funds, the research must benefit the public, right? And if we are not doing research that is solving the public's problems, it means that we are spending so much money on research that we can't use. Because at the end of the day, you're doing your PhD because of my money. No, but it's true. And you're doing PhD with somebody's money in Genfest somewhere who's farming, and for some reason they will never benefit from the research that we are doing. So I think maybe after this session, I will try to have a conversation with the TTO to say maybe we should make this regular, and you shouldn't just be sponsors of mLab's research commercialization workshops, but you should be part and parcel of it, so that when people want to talk about how best you can assist them, you are there to answer firsthand. Because as an mLab, my role is to talk about the business side of it and say, this is how you approach design thinking, this is how you approach a business model canvas, and this is then how you go into business. But they now need to start looking at how they support you from the university side with the resources that they have available. I also met the TTO by chance. This was when Dr. Pasha invited me. Actually, you started this. You invited me. You had an entrepreneurship day. You called me and I came through. And we did a session with the honor students, and I explained my journey on how I started business, and I'm turning science, creating platforms, and we're applying it and solving the agricultural industry's problems. And when I was done with that, then two colleagues from the TTO office said, but why were we not invited to your session? So Lou was telling them that, oh no, we had this engagement, and they said, who did this and why were we not invited? Then we started having that conversation, and that's how the relationship with the TTO started in my company, and now I'm now emerging also and having impact in mLab. But I think it's really important that the colleagues at the Technology Transfer Office not come there when we're done, because what would their role be and what would their function in a university be if, God forbid, everybody in this university is doing research that can't be commercialized? because if we do research that can't be commercialized, it means their role is not there, because there won't be any patents that are registered, there won't be any trademarks that needs to be registered, there won't be any copyrights. Their office will literally be, for lack of better word, useless. So they're actually very lucky to have people of this caliber in the university that can have a product. But they need to then put in the work to say, how do we equip our researchers to not just do research, but do research with an end mind, an end goal of commercializing. And this is the direction that they need to be taking. So research commercialization in a nutshell is a process of taking knowledge, discoveries, or innovations that are generated from research, and then we translate them into market-ready products or services or solutions that then are able to deliver value beyond academic environment. Somebody was saying, I don't want my research to gather dust, right? To get dust. So beyond the academic environment, how best can we take our research and commercialize it? So what does it look like, or what does it typically involve? It typically involves identifying potential applications of the research. It looks at protecting intellectual property, and this is unfortunately where the Technology Transfer Office, from what I'm hearing, they're focusing on that. That's through the patents, through the copyrights, through the trademarks, developing prototypes or proof of concepts. They are able to step into that and assist you with funding. They are able to do that. So if you already have a product, you go to them. I know they've got a tier seed fund. Somebody says, I want to understand how best to leverage funding within the university. So the Technology Transfer Office has a tier fund that they're able to help you develop your prototype and proof of concept models. And they're able to also start assisting you to partner with industry partners, investors, to scale up. And then we look at then now launching into the market, creating societal, economic, or environmental impact. So in short, when we are talking about research commercialization, it really just looks at bridging the gap between the lab and the marketplace, and ensuring that the research that we are doing doesn't sit in journals, but it makes real world difference. And I think normally when we do research, we start in the lab and we want to take it to the market. And from today, I want us to turn it the other way around, that we start from the market and we go back into the laboratory. Because if you are starting in the market and going back into the laboratory, you are starting with the end user at mind, and you are looking at a business. So two tools that we are going to do today. We don't have a lot of hours, and I don't want us to spend too much time talking, but I want us to spend a lot of time doing and applying. I just want to see how many we are in a group. This family is not going to be together. We are going to split them. So we've got, okay. So in groups of 3, one group would have 4 people or so. But in groups of 3, I want us to move and just sit in groups of 3, and then we're going to then start talking about design thinking and business model. These are the 2 tools. If you don't remember anything today, I just want you to remember how to approach design thinking and how to approach business model canvas, and how to then integrate these 2 things into research commercialization. Once we have covered that, then we can call your TTO office and say this is the direction we want to take. But those two things are very important conversations that I want us to cover today. And yeah, I don't want to commit myself too much, but based on the conversations that we're having, I feel and I wish we could have been having a series. So we move from design thinking and business model to another aspect of it, of marketing. Once you are done with this, you've got a business. How do you then even start establishing a market and a relationship with your customers? And then we take it until we get to where the TTO office functions on their patents and the copyrights, and we include them in the journey so that they're able to also experience this journey with us. And when they are then going back to serving the University of Limpopo community, they walk this journey with us. And a student in biochemistry doesn't feel left behind. Student in agriculture doesn't feel left behind in economics. And there's a clear pathway of how to then approach research, commercialization, looking at how best to then commercialize the research that we are doing. Because to be quite honest, we're doing a lot of research. Ceci was just saying at the back there that we put so much effort. We really put so much effort. And then you sit down and you hear somebody saying, I made millions from my research, and you're looking at your research and you're saying, how do I even start? How do I start? But maybe another challenge that I want to put and challenge colleagues in the room is to say, it's good to get that master's paper, right? And sometimes for us to get that master's paper, we are going to require funding. And for us to get that funding, sometimes we are tied to that particular topic, but it doesn't restrict you from researching on other things. I don't know if I'm making sense. You've got access to a laboratory. Your researcher just wants biofertilizers, but in that same laboratory, you are able to have a colleague that's working specifically on plants, for example, and not just the biofertilizers. And there are machines that you're able to use to do another aspect of research. So you can do them in parallel to say, this is what my researcher, my supervisor is researching on, but this is my research interest. Do I have the right equipment here? Yes, no. Pardon? I'm sorry. It's a secret of ours. We're going to pretend that supervisors are not here. But, but that's what I would do, because the reagents are there, guys. Honestly, the reagents are there. My supervisor, when I was doing my master's research, my supervisor was interested in grapevine viruses. I did my master's at Stellenbosch, so we were working a lot on grapes. They were working on grapevine viruses. But my interest was optimizing ELISA kits for the detection, but not just the virus. I wanted to detect other things. So I looked and I said, oh, Faith is doing this research and she's got these reagents. So I go to Faith and I said, do you mind if we can come over the weekend and you tell me a little bit about reagents because I'm not able to find that research that I'm interested in, but I've got resources that are available, and I'm going to use just little reagents. It's not a lot. It's not a lot. And when she's going to present her work with her other family, Tabang, I go along because that's where I want to be, in the biofertilizer family. But unfortunately, I only was able to get funding in this topic, which is something that I'm not so much passionate about, but I want to have a master's degree. So at the end of the day, if I stand and I say I've got a master's degree, I'm now in a tech company. It doesn't really matter which research I did. Am I able to apply? If you come to me as a provincial lead and say, I am interested in having a company that looks at coding, am I able to cater to that? And the nice thing about science that people don't know, it allows you to be very versatile. You take me now, you plug me into a law firm, I can be a lawyer better than those ones that did law. And I'm not even joking, because we don't sleep. She was saying we don't sleep. Our mind is able to capture so many things. I have engineering friends. They call me and give me their problems, and we try to come up with solutions, because that's what a scientist is. A scientist is a problem solver. We are not limited to cancer. We're not limited to biofertilizers. We're not limited to genes in goats and livestock and whatever. It just expands, research expands your ability to solve problems. That's the exciting thing about science. So let's get into groups of 3. Or do you want me to? This, I feel like this is also like a family, right? Yes. Those ones there, the back we're talking about biochemistry, so I don't want them in the same group. These ones here, I think you guys are also family. I don't want you guys together. So let's stop and make new family, make new friends. Let's make new friends. She's leaving. She's leaving. Are we all in groups? Yeah, she must mingle. She studied information systems, so she's like a tech person. But I think you are very important in these conversations, because when we look at a business, it's not just the scientists. We need the marketers, we need the IT tech geeks. Well, we get the tech geeks, I guess. We need all of those. Okay, so we've got groups of 3. We've got a 3, 3, 2. The 2 or 3? 2. Okay, and then we've got 2. Okay, so this would be 4. 3, 3, 4, right? So design thinking. What is design thinking? What have you ever heard of this concept? Yeah, design thinking. Anyone? Without reading the anyone? No. Nothing. Okay, so design thinking is a human-centered approach to problem solving that prioritizes the end user. So if we sit down and we say we've got a problem, design thinking says when we want to solve that problem, we must solve it using the end user, thinking of the end user. So whatever that we're thinking about, we're not prioritizing on, I am a Mapula and I like heels. So because I like heels, I need to have the floor in this way so that it caters my shoes, right? I must then start thinking of, if there is a Katlero who prefers flat shoes, this floor that I'm creating, that I'm saying is for heels, is she able to now walk on the floor? And business canvas model has got 9 blocks, and these blocks really just look at what problem are you solving. So you've got the end user in mind. The 2 tools we're using. You've got the end user in mind, and you're looking at the business canvas model, and you're saying, with the end user in mind, what problem am I solving? Who will benefit, right? It's customer segment. How will I reach those people that I want to benefit? How will I engage them? Now that I know this is the problem, these are the people that are going to benefit, how am I engaging them? How am I even generating money? I've identified the problem, I know the people. How am I getting money from Tabo, who loves money? What assets do I need? What do I need to deliver that particular solution? Who will help me? Who do I need to assist me to succeed? And how much is this going to cost? But all of these things, looking at the end user. So when we combine design thinking and we combine business canvas model, it ensures that we are certain of desirability. That is, we know what people want, and we are also ensuring that it is viable. We know that it can be a business. So that is the reason why we are using these 2 tools to talk about research commercialization today. Very simple. 1, we know that this is desired by people, and 2, we know that it is going to work. So if you forget all these things that I'm saying, and you remember that design thinking, you must think, what do people want? design thinking. And why are we combining it with business canvas model? Now that we know that this is what people want, is it viable as a business? You answer that. And once you've answered that, then you say, is this research that I'm doing what people want? And will it work as a business? Because it can be what people want, but not what they are willing to pay for. Does it make sense? Okay. So we're going to do an example, just one example, and then we are going to focus on it. It's 11:45 now. Our lunch is going to be at 1. So for the next hour, colleagues are going to sit in their groups. You've already seated in your groups, and you are going to come up with a problem and use design thinking to approach the problem, identifying your end user, then using business canvas model to solve and validate if this business is viable. Once you're done, after lunch, colleagues are going to then present and say, we are from this NPO. She says she owns an NPO. We're from this NPO, and this is the problem that we have identified. This is how we're going to approach it. And these are the people, and this is whether it is viable or not. And really, that is just going to be it for today. We good? So design thinking, this problem here that we're solving is an agriculture problem. I apologize to the biochemistry group. The next session we are going to be having, should we have a next session? The example is going to be something on microbiology or biochemistry or biotech. What's the other one? Geology. Okay, so the problem here is that there is an agricultural problem. I'm from Zanin, and there's a lot of banana peels that are just wasted. I'm agro-processing my bananas. I'm making dried fruits. From those bananas, I'm selling my bananas, and I've got a lot of banana peels that are there. And the other problem that's there is that people are now becoming environmentally or eco-friendly, and they want to start using packaging that is eco-friendly. So the industry, the packaging industry, has a problem to say people are now wanting to use eco-friendly packaging, and an agricultural farmer in Zanin who's into agro-processing has a problem. They are producing the agro-processing banana, and they've got a lot of banana peels. With these two problems, these are the two problems that I've identified. There's a lot of agricultural waste, and this person wants to do, they are looking into eco-friendly packaging. What do you think we can do using design thinking? So design thinking says you must have empathy, you must understand the people and their problems and where they're coming from. And then after that, you define the problem. Then when you're done defining the problem, you ideate, you come up, you brainstorm the solution. After brainstorming the solution, you come up with a prototype. From the prototype, then you take it to the people, you test it out, you get feedback, you come back, and you develop your prototype again. So without looking at this, what would you think? We've got banana peels that are a problem. We've got a packager who wants to meet the demand of people who are eco-friendly and they don't want to use plastic anymore. What do you think? Innovators, researchers. Come on, you've already read, it's allowed, you can say it. Yes? Anyone?
Use the banana peels as packaging.
You can use
some form of packaging using the waste.
Yes. Perfect. So we are saying banana peels. Can we take banana peels and turn it into a packaging material or product of some sort that would solve? The person who's having waste will no longer be having waste, and the person that's having the packaging problem will no longer be having the packaging problem. So this one says now, because I want to understand the landscape, I need to start on empathy, right? Understanding the problem. What do I then do? I go and I interview the local farmers. I interview them and understand, what is your problem? What are the problems that you're facing? They get to tell me about it, and then I go to the packaging companies and I interview them and I get to understand. From there, you learn, from these interviews, you are then learning that these farmers are throwing away tons and tons of banana peels, and the packaging companies are struggling to get eco-friendly materials or meet regulations that are eco-friendly, that have been set on them to say stop using a lot of plastic, right? We see a lot of companies now doing these funny paper straws that, that we don't want, but they're trying to meet those regulations that are there, and we still, as the end user, are very adamant to say, "Coppola straws are plastic." I don't want. I don't know, but I'm one of those that are still stuck on plastic straws. I can't, for the life of me, understand why we're having paper straws. But then after doing the interviews and understanding the farmers and understanding the packaging companies' problems and them wanting to meet eco-friendly regulations, then you then sit down with all this research that you have done. You sit down and you say, let me define the problem. So the problem is that plastic packaging is harming the environment, and therefore packaging companies need to start moving at eco-friendly ways to package, right? And also local businesses need to be affordable, eco-friendly alternatives that are required. But also the other problem is the banana peels that these local farmers are having. So this person here, in this example, there's two problems. There's the problem here, the farmer, and the problem here, the packaging companies. But how this person then defined that problem, they said, I want to solve this problem, not just for the farmer, but my focus is on the person that's doing packaging. That's my customer, right? I'm solving the farmer's problem by taking the banana peels, but I'm actually creating a solution for my packaging companies. We get it, right? So now I start ideating and I brainstorm ideas. I need to have a biodegradable food containers, or maybe food trays, or maybe shopping bags. I don't know, other what's this, the packaging things, maybe wraps that can be used with created by bananas. And then I sit down and I say, let me create a small batch using banana peel, test it with local fruit vendors. I go there, I give my vendors, they use it, and somebody says, I put things in it, it breaks, or it's not strong enough, or it starts changing color. Banana change color sometimes. I don't know. Maybe the packaging changes color after some time in the sun. But they'll give you feedback, and once they give you feedback, you go back to ideating, coming up with a better solution, then creating a prototype, then going back to your end user. They give you feedback, and you keep improving on your product. Does this make sense? If I were to create a problem, you'd be able to create a solution from this, right? So now that you define the problem, you've got a prototype, you've got feedback from your customers, then you start looking at, who are my key partners? I've got this particular packaging material. My key partners are the farmers, because I'm always going to be getting waste, banana peel waste from the farmers. Or maybe the municipal waste services is the one that's going to go around the houses collecting the banana waste for me. So those are the partners that I'm going to be working at. The packaging distributors that are going to be taking the packaging that I've created from one vendor to the other, from one town to the other, those are my partners. Maybe also green tech investors that are interested in investing in people that are doing eco-friendly environment. Those are my partners. What are the activities that involve this project or this idea that I have, this business that I have? Key activity will include collecting the raw material, will include processing the packaging, and also marketing to the buyers. What are the key resources that I need? Banana peels, I need a production facility, I need a processing equipment, I need skilled technicians. So really this just gives you an idea of, what do I need to make this business to work? What are my value propositions? What value am I offering? I'm saying my packaging is affordable because it was waste and I'm turning it into usefulness. I'm saying it's eco-friendly, and I'm saying it's made from local agricultural waste, so we're no longer having a lot of waste that's creating methane and contributing to global warming and customer relationships. How do I then ensure that I don't have just a one-time client, but I create long-term relationships? I always give this advice to the farmers that I work with to say, when you are getting a deal, don't plant and after harvesting go to a spa or to a food lovers and say, I want to sell these things. What you do is you plant a little bit, just a small portion. You go to a food lovers and you say, this is the quality I'm able to produce. If you give me a contract for 3 years, I'm going to produce this quality. They give you a contract and you produce for them. So you want to create long-term supply contracts, because the sad thing is a lot of our farmers will plant, and because they are not even confident that it's going to grow, because they're not even confident that it's going to grow, then they're scared to go to a food lovers and sign a contract, because there's implications with contracts, right? And they will not have a contract in place. They will plant, they will harvest, then they will go to a food lovers. But food lovers already has a contract with Faith, already has a contract with Katlego. They cannot take your produce until Katlego and Faith number or quantity of whatever they had agreed on has finished. Once these ones are done with their sweet potato and it's finished in there, then they say, we need sweet potatoes. Who else can just randomly bring? Then that's when you start running. But you harvested the same time, or your product reached the same time maturity when she did. And if this takes 3 weeks, it means you now have 3 weeks old harvested things that don't really look as fresh as it used to be. And we all know that by the day you start harvesting your produce, it continues to age, right? So the value of it also decreases. And for me, I call it agricultural gambling, because you can't plant if you don't know where you are taking your produce. So it's very important that you start creating customer relationship. Then you go on-site demonstration, you start doing eco-branding support, for example. And then there's customer segments. Which ones are your customers? Local farmers, now you're buying from them. You are then looking at supermarkets, packaging distributors. What channels are you going to be using to sell your produce? Is it direct sales to the vendor? Am I going to go to you directly? Or I'm going to partnership with your Woolies, for example, and instead of you coming to buy from me, you get my produce from Woolies. There are people who have products and they're not selling the products directly. They'll come and talk about their products and say, if you are interested in this product I'm telling you about, NTK, for example, has exclusive rights to sell my produce. So you can only get my product at NTK. So those are the kind of channels that people use. Sometimes they use business to business orders, or online. You've got apps now. People are influencers. I know she's an influencer. She's saying she's shy. I've seen her on Instagram and some social platforms. And you used to do modeling also, right? But she's shy. So there's different channels that we're able to use. And cost structure. How much is it going to cost me to collect the raw materials? How much is it going to cost me to manufacture? How much is it going to cost me to design that packaging, for example? How much is it going to cost to distribute? How much money do I need to create this product so that I can sell it, right? And then the end thing is, now that I'm done with all of these things, how am I getting money? I've used my money. I've used my time. How does my revenue stream come? Is it sales from packaging? Is it a licensing to manufacturers? Am I getting money from eco-friendly brands that want me to just talk about eco-friendly things? Or am I now going into speaking engagements and talking about my produce? Because people actually get paid for talking about certain topics, right? I'm also getting paid right now by I'm joking, guys. Yeah, but this is what I want us to do. And you've got these examples, so these paper sheets in front of you. And for the next hour in our groups, I want us to, it's exactly 12 o'clock now. I want us to agree on a problem and we start design thinking. We write our problem to say, this is our problem. How do we then look at the empathy in interviewing people? Who do we interview? How do we interview them? How do we then assist ourselves to defining the problem? And once we've defined the problem, let's start ideating. And once we've done ideating, then we have a prototype, then we take it to the market and we test it out. And once we are testing it out, then it brings us here to say, who are our key partners? What key activities are there? What key resources do we need? What is our value proposition? What are we promising people if they are buying this produce from us? How does our customer relationship looks like? What channels are we going to use? Which customer segments, revenue, cost structure? And this problem that we're coming with, because we are researchers here, I want it to be a research-based problem. We good? We've got exactly 1 hour to brainstorm with our colleagues. I see there are 3 now. So it means you two gentlemen will work together. That's fine. Okay.
Sona sa haeso se thola lo ka utlwa gape sometimes it's good as Africans to also look at our identity as a people, to always put who we are forward. That's, I think, is important. So I work in the technology transfer office. I have about more than 20 years experience in the field of technology transfer office. Having started as a trademark examiner at CIPC, then worked for the Department of Science and Technology as a Deputy Director, IP Specialist for the department. Then I saw that now, let me go and try something entrepreneurial, which I failed dismally in. I was planting tomatoes where living in Southend. Then I went back to CIPC to be a trademark examiner again. But with the experience from working at Department of Science in terms of all the universities reporting to us, the TTOs, I was a bureaucrat behind the table doing policies and applying policies or implementing policies. I wanted to go and get the taste of working on the ground where my policies are impacting people. So I left then CIPC and went and opened the first TTO that I opened was the University of Limpopo, which I got it, there was nothing. So we built that TTO from scratch. But things being the way they were, I then ended up being a lecturer at Univen, teaching intellectual property law, contract law, and the other streams of lecture. Then I was headhunted by NHLS to go and open an office, a technology transfer office at NHLS, which I went for a year. Then I was assigned to come here. But in a nutshell, what do we do as a TTO? You know, in most institutions, you find that the TTO is part and parcel of the research office, and it makes work seamlessly. But here we find ourselves that although we in the Department of Research are in the same directorate, we are independent of each other. So by right, our office should be embedded within the research office so that there is any conception of research whilst we are there, so that we know what is going to be created and how then we can start thinking about how are we going to protect this once it comes out, how are we going to also market this, but very important, how do we nurture and develop some sort of a concept or some sort of research being done towards your invention or a prototype, so that by the time we embed you into the other systems of the commercialization vehicle, UT and all that, you've already done the research part of it, you went to come to a concept or to your prototype. By the time you come to this side of commercialization, you take the seed fund and other funding so that you can then take your product to market. So most of the time, that's why you find that you always find us at the very back end when you've done the research you have finished. But then we don't have that way of knowing what type of research is done in the university and already playing around. Maybe sometimes we might also look at the initial years and say, in the initial years, where do we target so that we can come up with some technologies that we can. But what we are going to be doing now, we are going to introduce something called the UL seed fund. Unlike the Chia seed fund, which looks at technology readiness levels of products or conceptions up to level 4 and 5 and until 9, we want to look at your 2s and 3s when you've maybe just started some research but you need some support. So we look at whether if you to maybe need money for certain things, maybe equipment, so ours will be looking at empowering you so that you can do it the actual way. Maybe sometimes you need market analysis or something just to find out something, but at that core or at that level, we want to interact with you guys as researchers so that we can build the technology together. Because in our office, we have to have someone called a technology development officer. So that person will look at your research and conceptualize it and build it into a technology that this is a technology that can go to market. This is what the market will be receptive to in terms of the game that is in the market. If you're told, if your product is going to be that very destructive technology or what technology, one that disrupts the market. If your technology is that good. So that's what we do. Our office is just next to MO. You can come by and watch some of the things that we do. We also have a digital hub outside. You can have your drones, for example, 3D printing, your virtual reality and augmented reality, gaming and animation. So we're just that side, a very ugly building. We will crawl around it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lorelo,
But how's the training so far?
One.
Any question before I go? Ask anything.
When is the funding coming?
When you occupy space, you know that you are not going to get any money from the university, so you must create your own money.
So you're still creative?
We are creating one of our creation. One of our creation is that when we administer seed funds for Chia under the seed fund project of theirs, each and every project that they give us, we take 12% as administrative fees because we are their secretariat. So now I'm currently trying to take that money, put it in a cost center, let it grow for 5 years or something. I get it's but it's one of the plans. Like if you grow it for 5 years or something, then you have a bulk of money that then you can use it. It has no restrictions on what you can do. The tier 1 has restrictions, but ours we can configure to direct research where we want it to go so that we can easily take it to market. So we should be at a very microscopic level of coming towards the labs and working with you at some points to find out what is it that you are doing. Maybe have forums. Every Fridays, maybe we can have some sort of forums where we sit with researchers, we sit with people from the market and we just talk. So that you can also broaden your minds in terms of where you're going, but also listen to what is happening outside as a researcher, you might not know. Any other question? So that was the one part of the money. The other part is trying to get it through some funding. It's possible so being when the calls come, you can just say, we want to set up a seed fund.
No. There's one out, right?
Yes, just now. So those kind of things, yes.
You said you have 3D printing there.
Yeah, we have 3D printing.
What are you printing there?
We can print you.
Okay, are we allowed to come see?
You can come and see.
Is it?
Yeah, sometimes we organize yourself as a group and say, we want to come this day, and then they organize. We just do a bit of a thing for you, and then our cameraman will be there to take the pictures. It's something that you can report on that you went and visited the teacher. These are the things. And then from there, look at how these two offices can help in your research.
So if we want to come so that you can also explain to us how you can help us and what we can.
But then we have to understand what is it that you are doing. And but also, I also encourage that if you want us to help you, you must also try to search what technological advancements you need in your kind of way. If they are AI inclined, if they are drone inclined, if they are any other thing, which is the current 4AR spectrums.
And also would help to know what you can do so that we can start knowing that, okay, so we can push it to that level.
To that level, yes. I think but again, pushing to that level depends on you making me to push it to that level. Because if I don't have capabilities, I can now go and start looking for such. Thanks.
Now, any other questions? We're good. I think one thing that that stood out for me when we were having conversations earlier with colleagues was the fact that they don't really get to determine which research they do. They are a master's student, they come in, they're a researcher, the supervisor has these research topics that they're interested in, and we were talking about how do we then get those supervisors into these conversations, and we start talking about these are the priority research areas that we need to be researching on in Limpopo province, and they wanted to know perhaps what would be the technology transfer officer's role in assisting us to direct research within the university, because if we want to, I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
If we want to talk about research commercialization, we need to start approaching research with the end goal, commercialization. So how do we then start directing even just the research?
No, I hear you. You know, importantly, if you want to nurture economic development of the region, you need to understand the region in which you are operating in. We're in Limpopo. What is Limpopo famous for? Anything? Besides Bulolo. What is there? Agriculture. What else?
Tourism.
What else?
Mining.
What else?
What can it be?
Yeah. What else? Yeah. So with that thought in mind, what we then did when I was trying to streamline the services in the office, we then looked at where are we geographically, what are the strengths of the province in which we are in, how do we enhance the sectors of the economy that are the backbone of the economy through university research, through 4AR and other interventions. So we came up with a quadruple innovation model that looks to working together, academic, public sector, private sector, and the community. And your public sector might be as public as a district municipality or a local municipality at that level, because that's where the economical handles are. So we developed 5 focal points in the office that talks to the strength of the province. A focal point on agriculture, and we touch from everything. If a district municipality can say we want such an intervention agriculturally, then we, as we are a conduit between the university and the community, we then connect whoever the municipality with our researchers in the university, so the researchers can do the research that these people want, which is called contract research. And that's a third stream model of bringing money to university. I don't see a University of Limpopo doing a lot of that. And that is where the money is. And most of the time, these kind of interventions are not single disciplinary. Most of the time, they are multidisciplinary in discipline, because of if you are going to research, maybe I'll give an example that of something that we worked with some colleagues and it came up. But it's stalled because in a university setup, things go in their own rhythm. So there's this farmers in Zane, they are planting lychees, I think, and what else? Avocados. So their challenge is that because of the tropical nature of Zane in that area, trees will naturally grow very tall.
Macadamias, sorry.
Yeah?
Macadamias.
Macadamias. So they'll grow very fast, and as they grow fast, if you don't maintain them properly,
you have a challenge. So the trees are growing very fast, and therefore, when they have to fumigate for pests and things, they can only reach a certain level. Unless if you want to go above, then you have to have the big agricultural drones. We are actually buying 2 of those now. And it's expensive per hour to fly that thing over your crops. It will go into millions. So they end up fumigating where they can, they leave the top then pests and things that's. And then as they eat, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, but I have a feeling that if an insect eats on a plant, it transmits between itself and the plant certain, things. So some of these things on their own, they can then maybe also affect the biochemical compounds or makeup of the tree, and then the tree might start reducing its own yield. But I think that's what pest does to a plant in general. Then the yield will go down. As the yield goes down, then you know that there's a lot of maintenance on it, but it doesn't give you back your money which you've invested. So for them as farmers, they are losing. So their solution was that if University of Limpopo can create shorter stalks of their trees, so that the tree just don't grow through. So it's issue of tissue culture, it's issue of horticulture, it's issue of biologists. There is multidisciplinary soil and other things. So that's how, from where I'm sitting as a technical transfer office manager, I'm envisioning research in that fashion so that we can build industries outside through knowledge created. If you start now dealing with issues of stocks of trees, you can go and do a university spin-off company that does that. And now you transverse over different agricultural sectors. If it's like citrus and other things, you excel in those. And that's how you build industries. So the focal points are in essence a way of creating those industries out of knowledge from the university. But over and above that, we then again look at the communities where our people live, and then we say, if you want to develop a people, or if you want to enrich a people, you must make sure that they are their own suppliers of their food source. We sit in the towns, in Limpopo, you have about only 12% of people are in the urban areas. 88% are in the rural. So if you are going to develop Limpopo, you must develop Limpopo in the rural areas, so that those people can be the food basket of the urban areas. So urban areas, it's not meant for food. It's politics, it's economics, it's this and that. So if you want to farm, you must empower, and it's very nice because where we come from, now consolidate all those farmers into a project or something, put them together. If you say maybe you want to produce soil, you group them together, you go hoshing array, but rather soil. That's how you create economy. You don't tender anything, it's not tender. People live from what they know, and they feed those that cannot feed themselves in the cities. So our focal points are looking at that across agriculture, across mining, across tourism, across arts. That's what we are trying to do. To build Limpopo from the ground up, not from up to the ground. And it takes time. We need researchers so that they can look at what are the challenges in society and plant them there in society, and they are then the agents of change with knowledge. Sure. I am not a preacher.
No, thank you, Mr.
Yeah, never mind.
The reason why they prefer to have it indoors, they say that it has this pest repellent in their leaves, meaning if you put it in the house, what it does is that it gets rid of flies, so you won't have as much flies as you would. And then when it's outside, it doesn't have any fungus. And then it also has the leaves, they release this white powder milk thing. So what they have found with this thing is that it has an anti-repellent properties. So the solution to this citrus plant is to extract this anti-repellent products from this plant and fumigate it. So what we're first going to try is fumigate it on the citrus plants to see if that will reduce the severity of this fungus and make the plants grow. So on a small scale, so the prototype, what's going to happen is that we formulate the pesticides. After formulating the pesticides, we fumigate the plants, and then you say if you find that the plants do not have that problem, in science, if you get the proper ethical clearance, what you do is that you will introduce the pest at a small scale because it's for research purposes, and then you fumigate with this different concentrations and then see which plants are not affected by that, and that formula is the one that will say at this formula it works, and then you take it to manufacturers, and then after trying it and see that it works, you take it to manufacturers, you package it, and then you sell it, and then you solve the problem of the citrus fungus. And then another good thing about it, since the natural plant, it means the product that we're going to get from this, it's natural. You can not only market it to the citrus producers, you can even do it for cabbage, spinach, like that. It's a matter of doing more investigations. So if you do more research, you'll find that it's good for citrus, it's good for plants, it's good for consumption. On the biological level, they reduce those chemicals that you have to wear masks for and all that, meaning you can eat it since it's a plant that you can eat. And a good thing about it is that it grows outside, it has fruits that you can eat, it even grows indoors, so it is not a challenge in terms of the fumes that it will release after you have done that product. So yeah, so far that's what we have.
Lovely. Any questions, colleagues? Said I'm not going to be asking questions. Questions are going to be coming from you. We did design thinking, business canvas model. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks. My question is, this plant, are you going to have your farm where you are planting it to collect, and then how best are you going to protect it so that myself, if I was to know that you are using it, I go and plant it on maybe between the citrus. Maybe I use the push and pull method. I plant that plant surrounding the citrus and then put the citrus in the middle so that I don't have to go and buy the product again. So what would be the strategies there to protect it? Thanks.
I think if for somebody who will be familiar with the product for this, the pesticide, right, you will get it to the market. I think the one thing that you can patent is the method that you will use to extract the fumes from this thing. And then on the one of planting it, the same way they did inside here so that they reduce the flies that are indoors. That one, I think, as a community, as a university, we encourage the thing of finding solutions for Africa and also doing community-based studies. I think if you encourage those farmers and say that plant this product, they get to produce and then they get to hire people in that they won't be spending too much money on taking care of the plant, but rather producing more product and selling more product, and also meeting that demand of producing food for the people. So I think as much as you can say you want to gatekeep to benefit, other ways of benefiting is by helping your surrounding community so that they can at the same time help other people.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Dr. Pasha?
I think I want to come in and ask, okay, beautiful presentation, right? We've got to understand what it was about. However, I feel like you still gave it to us on a research level. I could be wrong. You still gave us what we do here. You didn't go to what she was trying to teach us, because we didn't get to see the business model canvas. who are your partners, what are you going to, those steps that she wanted us to look at. I think that's the element that's missing from it, but in terms of what you want to do and all of it, that is beautiful.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's not a question though, but yeah.
It's great.
So we need to remember.
I'm happy with that comment, yeah.
The canvas part, we're scrolling things together, but I think the partners, firstly it will be the citrus farmers, and also the investors will be people who are trying to fight these diseases without having to use strong chemicals, but rather material that grows naturally in our environment, and also the manufacturers that will be processing and extracting this thing. And then key activities will be to formulate that product and also to market it to farmers to say this works. And then key resources, it will be the plant, the mubudu, which grows anywhere and is easily adaptable. And production activities, processing equipment, and also the technicians that will extract the product. And the value proposition, what we are going to, when marketing the product, we'll say that it's less harmful, and also it can be edible, meaning if you wash your fruits but then you don't wash them properly, not saying well, do not wash your fruits properly, since it's a natural product, you can be able to ingest it and not suffer from the consequences. And the customer relationship, that one, I think we can also say that where are you going to sell this thing? You can have it at NTK, you can also advertise it online and say that, and then there's the revenue stream. So selling the pesticide will be the revenue, and then the patent on how to extract the material from the plant, that can also be part of the revenue. So yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Questions? I don't want to ask questions. I want you guys to be the ones that ask questions and put emphasis to say, did you meet the deliverables of the exercise? Yes, no. We're saying she was able to deliver on what was requested of colleagues. Because then your answer then gives a reflection on whether you guys were hearing what I was saying or not. Are we happy with her presentation? Are her colleagues happy with the presentation? They say yes. Other colleagues? Yes? Or we don't want to ask questions because they're going to ask us. Thank you. Any additions from her teammates?
Any partnerships?
The partners, let's say the current land is a problem, right? So growing the plant and also those areas that have those plants, and then and then they'll say, you cannot come and collect leaves from my plants. So partnering with them to say, let's come here and collect plants, and then also can we have land where we plant this plant on a large scale, and also households, since it's a household plant, to say what it growed also. I think those are our partners, and also the people like NTK, the people that are going to distribute, those are our partners.
Processing?
Yeah.
What kind of processing were you going to do a processing?
Finding a lab or a manufacturer for the product, that's also.
Okay. No, thank you so much, Chris. I think we're gonna leave it at that, and agree that research commercialization is a big task, and it's not something that you can do in an hour, right? Are we agreeing with based on what she's saying? Because she presented a very beautiful project that she'd like to do. I think it's amazing, especially for agriculture. I'm very big on you are what you eat, and if you are coming up with a pesticide or something that's going to assist us to move away from chemicals, that's definitely something that I'll be interested in. So it would really require a lot of work to sit down and really ideate and come up with the specific needs of the end user. I think it really still needs quite a lot of thinking, but for 1 hour I think they covered it quite well. Well done.
We are saying we should encourage supervisors to be the ones that come up with projects that at the end of the day will be commercial. This idea, now I'm not doing plans. There's I think a lecturer on that side of our plan, we went to a workshop here, GD20, I was one of the ushers. They asked a question to say that since you know that this plant, this milky thing, omits this substance that is an anti-repellent, why not try to formulate it so that you can sell it to other people who are working with other plants that need this fumigation? And then he was like, I have other projects that I'm working on. It means it's an idea that can work, but then it's not being explored. So perhaps the people who are instead of them saying, what ideas have you come up with? Why don't they take this to that professor and say, you are working, why not try it? He can try it on a smaller scale, maybe with an honor student at first to see how far it can go before they go upscale. That way, it's a way of saying, let's not wait for supervisors to, let's encourage them, perhaps, that way. And also, since you have resources, funding so that they can explore it.
Why is it not you? Why someone else? Why someone else?
Yeah, even that thing, it's not about producing degrees, but rather producing products that work. Even a lot of GD20, I think they are, important people asking that question and them not getting the answer that they want.
So it was disappointing.
It's a disappointment.
But he probably has never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
He never thought what he doesn't know what he has in his hands.
Yeah, I think maybe the direction that the university wants to go towards commercial labs, that could really work, because whatever research that would be done in the commercial labs would be research that is looking specifically to go into the commercial route. Maybe you are the person to do that research. No, thank you so much. Beautiful presentation. I'm not sure if the group that wanted to be first to answer. Well, of course. Let's welcome the group. I'm going the first one I will present here.
We'll present the other business model.
Okay.
Hi everyone. Just to remind you of my name is Kwena, and then I'm here to just give you the design thinking that we have came up with. On the first part of empathy, I was once there at the Department of Agriculture and agricultural practitioner, and then the challenges that are there on the ground is that the farmers they want to go into producing more chickens and supplying their locals, but the only challenge that is there is that they have the indigenous chickens, and then they don't produce as much as they should. And then we have those that are there that are supplying the communal areas. They are using the exotic breeds, which are expensive to start with. They need a specific feed for them to grow to a certain level of production. They also need medication. To grow a broiler is not as easy as just putting the indigenous chicken there, giving them a mixed fowl. There are some antibiotics that you need to come up with, a lot of stuff. So the problem that is there is that the indigenous chickens, they are not as good as the exotic breeds. And then the other issue is that we have communal farmers, they farm their backyard. You have products like your bambaran nuts. When you are feeding them to the chickens, they have some tannins which inhibit the absorption of the nutrients from those feeds. So it's another problem. So the problem is the feed that they have, the animals are not getting enough nutrients from them. The chickens that they're producing with, they don't grow as fast as they are supposed to. So we have what we call crossbreeding because we are trying to incorporate what we are doing as researchers. We have crossbreeding, it's where you take a good performing and then the one that is not performing, and then you come up with a hybrid or a breed that is performing better than either of the two. So now on the idea or the ideate, we have to come up with a chicken that can be more productive than the indigenous one, but we shouldn't forget that on the indigenous one we use less medication. So we are trying to come up with a breed that is adaptive to the environment that we're using, free range system that we're using, but still giving you the ultimate production. You can get eggs, you can get meat from that animal. So the other thing is to come up with feed additives that will be able to break the tannins on the feed that we are having, so that the animal that we are giving, the feed that we have produced at our backyard, they can still give us the nutrients that we need for those animals. And then on the prototype is to provide this strain to the farmers and then see if they will perform better than the ones that we have, and also give them the additives to add to the feeds and see how the feedstuffs will perform. And then the action there will be to just sample some farmers who are keeping these chickens, and then we're giving them these chickens, and then they will tell us if they are doing better on egg production, if they are doing better on meat, and then also the feed, which feed stuff the additive is working best on, so that we know where to improve, and then where are we on the right track. Of course, there's always a room for improvement. We'll improve as time goes, because crossbreeding takes years. We can come up with something today that says I'm not good, but there's back crossing, there's a lot of terminologies that are included in there that one would need to understand. So the farmers, we won't stress them with crossbreeding and everything. We'll just give them the final product for them to test if it's good, and then we move in the other direction. I'll leave it to my colleagues to give you a system model. Thank you.
Okay. My partner mentioned the product that we actually selling in our company, and to remind you, he mentioned a super strain of a chicken that grows faster, with less nutrition, and produce more meat and eggs. So now what I'm going to do is to show you how the business is structured and how things would be running. So for the business to be functioning, we need like key partners. Those partners could be investors, could be the people that we source raw materials from. So we have big companies because we have that feed additive that will actually allow the animals to use the feed to get more of the feed than they can get if you don't have the additives. And also we partner with farmers because we have to go source the chicken and crossbreed them, and also the farmers are the ones that are supposed to buy the food additive and also buy the super strain of the chicken. So the farmers might as well be the ones that invest money to start up all these things. So in the company, what we'll be doing most part of it actually, all we'll be doing is growing the chicken, processing them, and also we will producing this feed additive. So that's the key activities we'll be doing in the company. So the resources that we need are the shelters for the chicken. The chicken to start the whole process of crossbreeding, and also bioreactors and processors to do bioreactors and processing machine to produce the feed additives and also process them. So when we produce them, we could be having a lot of products, but we'd be interested in that one. So the processing machinery are needed to separate that compound or compaction of compounds we'd be needing to add to the feed to improve their effectiveness. So the value that the company is actually looking to provide is to make sure that the livestock producers actually have the the chicken that is not going to give them a problem to grow, and it's not going to take much from their pocket to can actually meet the grade that they want to provide the community. And also, one of the most important values that our company will be actually providing to the farmers is we be having the improved feed regime. So the feed that they have, some of the farmers are actually growing their own nuts and all to be feeding their chicken, but because they haven't processed them, they have some anti-nutritional factors in them. So the feed additives are the ones that are actually going to do what he mentioned, the Chinese be in absorbing some of the nutrients and making them not being absorbed by the animal in it. So the feed additives actually make sure that the tannins and the phytates that are anti-nutritional factors of the feeds are inhibited, so that the animals can make the most out of the feed that the farmers are buying and providing them with. So the relationship with the customers that we actually want to have is that you as a farmer can just walk in and buy the product. And also we will have long and short-term contracts with the farmers that are actually growing the chicken. That are, we also have the contracts, long and short contracts with the feed producers. They will be producing the feeds, but maybe they do not produce the additive, the concoction that actually improves the value of the feed. So we'll be having contracts with them. They produce the feed, we just give them what? A booster. So that's the relationship we will be having with them. So the channels, well, I might have touched a little bit about you just coming in and buy. And also we would have an online system where you just get on the website, you do online shopping and all. And also we would have NTKs, maybe even ShopRite, be selling this thing. So there will be our channels of taking the product to the people. So the customer segments, well, the poultry farmers, since we talked about super strain of the chicken, the poultry farmers, and I don't want to leave other livestock farmers outside because we have the feed additive. The feed additive is not only going to be applied in poultry. Even goats take those plant-based feed, so the additive can be added in whether feeding goats, chicken, or any other livestock. So those are our customers, and even retailers that we don't really have much of a connection with, maybe the contract that we will be supplying this thing to your customers. I know they will be like, okay, we come and buy and try to sell the products. Those ones are also our target market. And the feed companies as well. The feed companies will have to buy at the thing, those that are not producing the feed additive. So the cost structure, the company will spend much money. Actually, the much money that will be spent on the company is getting to source the raw materials, depending on the kind of raw materials we be using to produce the feed additive. But what we thought of is using waste, things waste, either domestic or agricultural waste that we just go and discard. They cause some bad smells whenever we discard it, and even emission of gases that causes also greenhouse gas emissions. So we go source them. Maybe we will be sourcing from eating houses, restaurants like that. Your house, you can just come, you cook every day and just go behind your house and discard your leftover meat, chicken, or bread. So we can come take that and use them to produce our feed additive. And also we'll be spending money on growing the chicken themselves. Like we also have to buy the feed for the chicken to crossbreed them. They have to grow, they have to eat. So we'll be spending our money. And also marketing. I mean, we cannot have a product and not sell it. Or we cannot have a product and be the ones that know about it only us. Well, that's not good doing any good. So we need to spend some money, invest some money on marketing and sales. So the revenue streams, how we be getting the money. Of course, we'll be getting the money from selling whatever we have. The product, the super strain chicken, the feed additive, that's where we'll be getting the money. And also investors, those who are investing, in our those who see the goal of this and actually support it, they be investing in this and this project, this company. So and we'll be selling the superstretch and the fidelity, and also we'll be getting some funds from the investors. And that's all from the planning for this great project.
Wow. Amazing. I said I'm not gonna ask questions. I'm very tempted, but I'll keep to my word. Just one comment that I'll make, maybe let me start with the question not related to that, because I'm the only colleague to be asking questions. Are you in any way going to do this, or this is just an idea today? Are we doing this? Because you did say you've got a business. Are you doing this already, or is it just a today idea?
It's a today idea that is incorporating the work that I'm currently doing on my master's. I'm cross-breeding chickens now. I'm on my PhD. I'm cross-breeding chickens to come up with this strain. But the additive part, it was from the other side, is agriculture, and no, not my company. My partner came up with the idea of, because he's working on something related as well. So
Beautiful.
it was like, how can we collaborate on this and then come up with something that will cover both our sections.
Yeah, what I did is we talked about cross-breeding, and I realized that in my study at some point I had to research a little about a certain enzyme only to find out that they use it in food additives. So that's why I ended up having food additives that go to feed for livestock studies working. So it was easy to come up with this standard.
Beautiful. So on the side note, when we talk about research commercialization, I'm going to fill you in on a project. There's a project that Mubani District Municipality is doing. They are aiming to produce 1 million birds per cycle. You probably want to pitch this business idea to them. You can then start commercializing. So let's have a conversation outside this. And another commercialization opportunity is that there's a project that's also coming through Zani, where we will be pressing soybean and moringa, and the byproduct is seed cake, and that seed cake is then going to be used for animal feed, for poultry. So yeah, I think you guys should talk about this and agree on whatever you agree, then we can then have a conversation. Alright, colleagues, let's open the floor for questions. No questions. Wonderful, beautiful presentation. It's always nice when you get people that really get it. It's beautiful. I'm really excited when you guys are showing that we are understanding, we're going to put more work into it, and yeah, research can be commercialized and we can actually make good money and a living out of it. Next group that's volunteering to go, we've got last two groups. Okay! They don't want to be that last one.
I get an idea from like a Benzia. Hi guys. I don't feel it has email. I'm just gonna read because I can relate, but yeah, I agree. Okay, our project is like a couple short. No, I'm gonna give it my best. If you share something, then I'm correct. It's a learning curve. So on the empathy part, we are going to interview the public about the fuel prices in our country. And we are also going to interview the farmers still farming bananas. We are going to use the banana pseudo stems. Yes. Yeah, like we're just going to interview the banana farmers, or what do they do with the pseudo stems, Do they throw them or do they keep them? And our problem would be that fossil fuel is expensive in our country. That's especially expensive. And it's running low, and it causes air pollution. If it causes pollution in our country, then again we'll be helping farmers to get rid with the pseudostems as waste material. Then our ideate will be using agricultural waste to produce biofuels as a substitute to fossil fuel. Okay, we are going to produce biofuel, and also, like, we are going to work out, we're going to have a blend whereby we combine our biofuel with fossil fuel. Like, we are going to do blends. It's either going to use 70% the fossil fuel and 30% or 100%, 10% the biofuel. Then the action, we have to find the manufacturers to test our blends and get feedback from them. Yes. Whew. Then our key partners are going to be government, the car manufacturers, the farmers, they'll produce the bananas obviously, and also we are going to have the fuel producers. Then our key activities will be collection of the pseudostems and processing, being the production of the biofuel, and also testing the blends, that the fossil fuel and biofuel. Then also to market the end products. Then on the value proposition will be, it's going to be affordable, but eco-friendly, and it's going to be obviously made from agricultural waste material. Then we are targeting for long-term supply contracts on site, and also eco-branding supports, yes. Then on the customer segment, we are targeting fuel producers and distributors. Then on key resources, we're going to need fermentation facility. We're going to need the banana pseudostems and skilled biotechnology. Yes. Then we need the equipment, microbial strains, lead reagents. Then the channel is going to be business-to-business partnership. On the cost structure, we're going to have raw material collection, manufacturing, and distribution. And then on the revenue stream, we are going to sell our fossil product. We're gonna be selling to the fuel producers and licensing the technology to manufacturers. So what are we basically going to be doing? We are going to the fuel producers. We approach them. We are going to have the biofuels from our side. We need them so that we have the this thing. Yo, please. Let me say. Sure. Yes, so that we have blends, because we have roughly 100%, because with testing in the car, I didn't put on something from scratch, because if we're going to have 100% the biofuel, it means we have to have a specific car designed for it. So we're going to need the blend so that we can be able to combine fossil fuel with the biofuel. Yeah.
Okay.
Well done. Your best. Any questions from colleagues? I know I have a lot.
Team,
I've noted Bibi and then
Hi. Thank you. That's very well. I just have a question. Maybe I missed it. Did you say why you specifically chose bananas instead of other agricultural waste?
No, we actually thought of the grass, complicated the name.
Fresh grass.
Fresh grass, but then we just wanted something for the project. So we were weighing options for what can we best use. Then we realized the religious stuff can be used.
Also, it's a local waste. Then there's a lot of farms that's got bananas there, so it's a local waste. So we're looking into solving a problem of locally people in our vicinity, So we just thought that would be a good idea.
Good.
I'm answering.
You answered.
Great. Why bananas?
Why bananas? Yeah. Okay. Yes.
You said you don't want to start something that will have to change the whole system of a car by just saying you are going to put the 100% biofuel in there. So how about you make it your business to actually have maybe a workshop where you just modify? I don't think you'll have to modify the whole engine to turn it from running from gasoline to ethanol. So maybe it can be part of your business to be like, okay, you have a car. Well, it will be good for the environment and even for yourself if you can just invest this much to turn your car to run on 100% ethanol without having to use the gasoline. But it's 100% on renewable fuel. So you can make it your business.
Once we make money on this one, then we go into that one. That's fine. And then we'll have the funds to do it.
We will be there by then.
Yes, I think Faces would do. Again, with looking, we now have the electrical cars, and they took a while. So this one will be phase 1. Then we're gonna have phase 2.
You come to us once you have the product. That's what the system so that
Yeah, I can tell your own businesses, so buying cars would be a problem.
Thank you, colleagues. Any other questions for our colleagues in front? They are biofuel manufacturers. They're making biofuel for us, and they're saying they're going to first start with the blended approach before they give us a full system. Any questions? We good? I'm happy. Thank you so much. Well done. Uliki, like a beautiful presentation. And we are going to now open the floor for the last group.
Best for the last.
We have saved the best for the last.
Do it. Oh. Okay, afternoon. So basically, the business idea that we have seeks to solve the crisis of avian flu. So avian flu, it affects the chickens, which means that the farmers are losing revenue. And in terms of economics right now, it means that there's a supply deficit for the chickens, for the businesses, which drives the costs of the dry pack chicken and other things. So basically, we would find out how this affects the farmers, but the most important thing is basically the revenue. And then, so the problem is the loss of the chickens, which causes deficit in terms of supply and then drives up the prices of food. So our idea is to develop a vaccine that, currently, Tumi said that she has a friend who has a poultry business, and the owner of the business currently, what she's doing in terms of animal health for the chickens is to administer a vaccine every 2 weeks, which in terms of costs a lot, and it is also laborious in terms of every 2 weeks, So our idea is to develop a sort of a once-off vaccine for the chickens, which would lower the cost of acquiring a vaccine, and also, it's less labor intensive. So the prototype, we would go to the different farms and have small batches of vaccines. And then in this, we would have a control group and the study group of chickens. and then we would assess how long the efficacy of the vaccine in the chicken, how long does it last? Maybe now it doesn't need to be administered every 2 weeks. Maybe it's like a couple of months, maybe 6 months or once a year, which would mean that for the farmer, it's less costly to actually, run a poultry farm. And okay, for the action, obviously we would have to interact with the farmers to get feedback on how the vaccine is now treating the farm. The animals, are they, like how often do they now vaccinate the animals? And then if, obviously, because the idea is to have a once-off thing, if it's maybe like after 6 months, they find that they need to administer more of the vaccine, it means that we would have to optimize the vaccine to last a bit longer. Okay. And okay, so now for the business model canvas, our key partners would be the farmers. Those are the key partners. And maybe even in the long term, other big vaccine producing companies who would maybe want to have the formulation. And then the key activities would be to test the vaccine and optimize if there's a need. And then we would market it to the farmers. Value proposition, it's less costly and there's a less required labor for, administering the vaccine. And in the end, we expect for an improvement in agricultural productivity, which would then, in the long run, in terms of economics, means that there's a stable market price for the braai pack, and then the relationships, we would have obviously relationships with the farmers, and we would also have like site visit to the farmers to see and check the animals in terms of their wellness and health. And then the customers are the farmers and the businesses that actually sell the braai packs, ShopRite, Checkers and stuff like that. And then obviously cost structure, it would be costly for the vaccine development. We would need facilities for that. And we would also need hatchery facilities within the farms to separate the control group and the chickens we're assessing for the vaccine studies. And then the marketing and packaging of the product. And then the revenue stream would come from now actually distributing the vaccines to the farms. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think all the presentations that were done here really just got me excited. You guys are in just an hour we're able to come up with such beautiful ideas from what I'm really in love with agriculture and coming up with pesticides that you can literally put a pesticide today and eat that thing the same day. Because another problem that we have to the first group there is that in agriculture, if I am to administer a pesticide, I have to wait for a number of days before harvesting and then selling. And what do I do if I put today and somebody walks into my yard and they want to buy? Unfortunately, we get very tempted and we harvest and we sell it, and that becomes a problem in society. So it's really just a beautiful idea. Now you guys are coming with that, they are coming with animal feeds, and now we're going to the live cars and not spend so much. So it's really exciting. Any questions for our last group as we are coming to an end of this beautiful session? Any questions, colleagues? There's a hand.
Thanks. Thanks for the good presentation.
Yeah.
Very interesting indeed. Now I want to know how long would it take from lab up until we have a vaccine at hand? How long would that process take? And then the other question is, who's your target market? When you're saying those who are selling chickens, do you talk about the small scale, or you're targeting even bigger companies that are providing us with these dry packs, because the dry pack you see there is not the one that it's from the villages. The chickens that we raise a chicken at villages, normally we sell to our local farmers. No one from the village is supplying any big. And there are a lot of things that are added there. If you check on your dry pack, there is what they call brine percentage. Just to so that when you get the product, it's still fresh. It's more like to conserve that meat. So, but I just wanted to know who are you targeting? Are you targeting those big companies, or will I benefit because I'm also a broiler farmer? And you are right. The medication, there are a lot of medication that you have to add to those broilers for you to give you that kind of to reach that market age. Before you get there, you would have administered at least 2 or 3 of the antibiotics and so on.
Okay. It's small scale farmers, because I feel like people who are established already have enough resources for them, whereas the small scale farmers, still need help. So it's mostly small scale farmers. In terms of vaccine development, it takes time. Months or so, depending on the problem. So maybe double. Maybe you can help him. But vaccine development takes, it takes time. Unless like using other tools, like bioinformatics tools to now you have a specific protein that you're targeting and stuff, and then you do drugging to see which one and then, but it's still a bit time constraining.
Okay, just to follow up from there, is your company getting your test subjects? Do you also have a farm where you test these, or you are just going to come to my farm and say we have this product, we want to see if it works? Because remember, I'm running on a budget, and I need my revenue at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So how are you going to encounter that process?
That's a great question.
Wait, you say where will we test the project? The product.
Yes.
Again, here we'll be creating the vaccine for the chicken. Where we will be having our own chickens that we'll be dealing with, and as she said, that will be having control and others for control, and the other ones. Then to the market will be nothing will say, we've tested it, it is working. So now try it and see if it gives you a better result compared to what you had before.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you for this. There's another question.
Yes, because we don't know the kind of vaccine you guys have in mind, or the one that your company actually is producing. The vaccine that you are producing, is it any different from the one that is already being sold now, provided it's been sold to the farmers currently, or you have is it improved somehow? Even the way it's supposed to be taken to the chicken, are they gonna inject them, or they're gonna have them orally taken with the feed or the drinking water they be taking? So how is it gonna be? You first tell me how the enzyme, the vaccine is different from the one that is currently available, or why would they want to use your vaccine instead of continuing with the one that they already have? And also, how are is it going to be delivered to the chicken?
Or the main challenge here is having what we call mutations, changing or something. So the influenza virus is not constant. It's constantly changing. That's why the chickens need to continuously be vaccinated. So with us, what we are targeting what we call a promoter region of the influenza virus genes, so that that region stays silenced, because you can have a viral genes in your body, and find that they are latent. When you go to test for HIV, they say you don't have HIV, but that doesn't mean that you don't have the genes for HIV. Anytime they can trigger and produce the HIV viruses, then you are sick. Alright? So we target those genes so that they remain silenced and suppressed. That is what is different from the current vaccines that are available currently, because they don't target those genes, they target the specific proteins that can mutate and change in time.
So administering the vaccine to the lives of the chicken, and we inject or oral treatment, or however.
This the best administering way will be injection, because it goes straight to the bloodstream. Then orally, then it will have challenges in absorption and bioavailabilities.
Yeah, I have a question, or just let me just say something. When it comes to injecting on chickens, because we buy the day-old chicks, it's very, very, very difficult to inject them. So maybe when you are working on the business, you also look at how can we administer them to day-old chicks. The day-old chicks. The old chicks is 5 days. They're very, very, very small. Even if they say inject under there's a vein, you can go there and not see it.
Oh.
And that means even the needle that you have to use will be very, very, very thin. So normally with the vaccines that we have now, we put in water. So I would advise that whenever you're looking at your vaccine, also take that into consideration, because the small one, how are we going to work? At least the old ones, yes, you can locate the gene and then the vein, but not everyone is able to do that as well.
With
That means
with this one, when I just that it still requires a lot of research, but the way I was thinking, I was not thinking it.
Also, don't give away IP. Just saying. Just saying. They're in the poultry business, so you don't want to find yourself 2 years later saying, hi, you did know towel, and yeah. So I think let's pack it at that. Yes.
They should be having that vaccine.
I think beautiful conversations, just so that we are protecting each other's IP. Wonderful. How does it feel? We came here in the morning, we had a conversation about Limpopo Development Plan, where we say, let's understand the landscape so that we're able to do research that has an end goal of commercializing. We went through design thinking, we did business canvas model, we did our own example here. You sat in a group, you came up with problems, very, very innovative. I must say, I'm really, really impressed with the kind of projects that you came up with in just an hour. And this is not even something that you are working on. You were even able to take this one's project and that one's project and merge it together and come up with such beautiful presentations. Personally, I think that I've met my own objectives and I did my job. But I would just like to hear from the room, how do you feel having come here with the expectations that you had? Maybe we'll just take two hands. Having come here with the expectations that you had, how are you feeling and how do you propose we take it from here? I suggested that perhaps maybe a quarterly engagement with ourselves as mLab and the Technology Transfer Office. Are you up for that? Is it something you'd want to do? Yeah, just to get a feel in the room. Just two hands would suffice. I think it would represent. There's a hand.
It was very informative and insightful, because sometimes, as obviously I'm saying this as a person who was not even business minded, but
you're not, you are.
You are. But like usually when people have businesses, I feel like the businesses are for themselves. But here we got to learn that your business should be for someone else. It's yours, but it should address a bigger picture, and that for me was nice. Yeah. So now it's like, okay, we do all of those things in the lab for our qualifications. Let's look at the wider problem out there and address the challenges that exist. Because when we do the research, essentially it's what's the gap that's there. So now the gap is there, you have your research outputs. How do I then apply? Yeah.
So application. It's not just about your research, it's about how is it going to impact somebody out there. Lovely, I love that. Any other comments, sir? But it's the same family. It means I'll have to have another hand. No, it's fine, you can go and then we'll take another hand.
Yeah, what happened is that I came here with the expectation of cost for them, how I can take my research from the lab. I mean, I'm doing research, of course, we publishing things and all, but honestly, I want to see my product out there on the market, selling, making an actual impact, not just reading and all. After that, we will forget what we read a few minutes later. But if we have a product that I worked so hard in the lab to develop it, now that product is representing my work out there every day, every year, and for a very long time. So here I came with the expectation to learn how can I just take the product from the lab to the market, and that just happened. And fortunately, I met this guy. He works on something that happened to blend very well with what I'm looking for. And to top it on, you mentioned that we can talk outside this, you have something that actually can work with what we said. So this went way better than I actually anticipated.
Lovely, I like that. So he came and he met a business partner. Attend more workshops. Take home message. Okay, one more person. Any other comments? We good? Happy? I think from my side it's all happiness. Is it all happiness from your side?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. So every time we do workshops at mLab, we always end it off with a certificate ceremony. So I'm going to be handing out certificates. You come to the front. Obviously, you hype the person up, right? You always hype the person up. I'm going to call you to the front. We take a picture, and then we are done for the day. So I'm just going to quickly go get the certificates. I hope you had all registered, because if you didn't, then I don't have your name with me. Did you all sign it? Huh? Yeah, it means they made me print out certificates and I signed and I paid money for these certificates. So you must go and tell your friend.
I think I know one.
Yeah, you must go tell
She was
your
having a class. There was a clash.
Yeah, and she chose her class over me. So you must go and tell your colleagues that we wasted a lot of food. Well, my time was not wasted because you guys were amazing, but we printed things out. Unfortunately I can't give them the certificates because they didn't attend the training. But should we agree that we'll have more engagements, maybe in those engagements we'll get to touch on this and I can just give them this, but I cannot give them a certificate for something they were not a part of, because they will go out there saying, I'm not already training and when I certificate, I'm design thinking. I say, oh, lovely. So the first person that we're going to be hyping up, the certificate is awarded to Tabo Moromana. I hope I said it right. Mr. Money! Happy? No. Nice. Woo! When I'm solutioning, but never graduated for computer, and mama, I made it. Whatever better, I didn't go one day. Mutual poster, I made it. TV, Judith Bukea. Oh, yeah, that will record. This is nice. it fine.
Quality.
Yeah, that's why you must tell them I spent money. Kwena mukwena, how nice, kwena mukwena. Yay!
Thank you.
Woo! Mary Muhashwa. No, not here. Yo, this name I'm really gonna butcher. I really apologize. Tebugong. Yeah, Tebugong. I'm just gonna say Tebugong. Please say your surname for me. Manuel. Gabriela. Tumisho Make. This one is actually my cousin. I found out today. Nice.
I know.
Noctula Giddy. No? Yes. Hi guys, you're not hyping here. The whole day, she worked a lot. 1 hour of ideating, come on guys. Ooh. This one I'm going to fire the person that did this certificate because they wrote her name twice.
It's not the name, it's a name and the same name.
It's a name and the same name.
No, it's not.
That's what is written on the name and same name.
So we blame the person, right? Rasichani. Why did you write your name in the same name and the same name? We have a We'll see what to do. We'll see what to do. Where to Mzinyani?
Mr. West.
Did you twice or once? Twice. Wait. And I didn't call you. You are? Ma? Did you sign the register? Did you move my home?
Yes.
And then Madam Madam. Okay? Hey, why when I was a graduate? Did you move my papa? Thank you. Katerong Kwadi.
I'm married.
Yeah, you're married today. Here we go. Yeah, guys, you were really a beautiful audience. I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed sharing with you, and I hope today was not a waste of your time. You are able to go back and implement anything that we learned. Just a question, sir. Do you think we can just have a group photo outside, or should we do it there? Outside or there? Outside. Okay. Let's go outside and have a group picture with our graduates. Freshly new graduates.
Wake up, Mr. West.
That's of 2025.
That's of 2025.
Rashijani.
Mother, why were not my name?
Yes. Are you not the one who filled the form?
You can.
Yes, you wrote Rashijani. That's what